Hello and welcome to KGW News at 5 o'clock on this Monday. I'm Laurel Porter. I hope you had a great weekend and enjoyed that bonus sunshine we got. Today, May 18th, is a momentous day in history, I'm sure you know, as we marked the 40th anniversary of the eruption of Mount St. Helens. We've been talking about it a lot for several days, and we have another powerful story for you a little bit later. And it's the day before Oregon's primary election. If you haven't voted yet, just a reminder to drop your ballot off at a drop box near you by 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And then join us for election coverage beginning at 7:45 tomorrow night on KGW.com and on your KGW News app. You can also watch us over the air on 8.2 and a variety of other channels depending on where you live. Now here's what's topping our news on this Monday, May 18th. A judge in Eastern Oregon threw out Governor Kate Brown's executive order that is keeping some businesses closed because of the coronavirus. The judge ruled the order has gone on too long. KGW's Pat Doris is following this for us. He joins us live from Northeast Portland. Pat, this is a major ruling.
Well, it really is, Laurel. You know, in issuing the preliminary injunction against the governor, the Baker County judge has upended coronavirus restrictions statewide, potentially for every Oregonian. The case is centered in Baker County, but potentially affects everyone across the state. A group of churches sued the governor last week, arguing that her executive order involving the coronavirus could only be in effect for 28 days under state law, and that it's already been way longer than that. The judge agreed and this morning issued his ruling. He said not just churches were being harmed by the governor's overextended order, but businesses too, and so he struck down the rules for both. Kevin Mannix is a former state lawmaker and one of the attorneys in the case pushing for the injunction.
And this preliminary injunction basically orders the governor to stand down in terms of enforcement of her executive orders as it relates to closures of businesses and religious organizations, houses of worship, and the like. The impact of this preliminary injunction means that the governor's orders are no longer orders that are enforceable as a criminal violation.
The Oregon Republican Party said it welcomed the ruling, that it restores the ruling of law. Oregon's Attorney General said she would immediately appeal to the state Supreme Court and asked that the justices put the judge from Baker County, his ruling, on hold. And the Attorney General said the judge simply came to a mistaken conclusion. Also today, Oregon health leaders called a quick news conference this afternoon to urge people to continue doing what we've been doing, wash hands, keep up with the social distancing. That tells me they do not expect the Supreme Court to issue an injunction tonight. And it's still unclear what, if any, impact this has on county orders. In Multnomah County, there is also an order to have businesses closed. So unclear the impact there. Back to you.
Boy, it's going to be interesting to follow this ruling. Thank you, Pat. An experimental drug showing promising results in treating COVID-19 is now being distributed to Oregon hospitals throughout the state. But local hospitals have already been using remdesivir in their own trials. Brittany Falkers talked to a doctor leading the remdesivir trial at Providence to find out more.
Early trial results suggest remdesivir could help patients recover from the coronavirus faster. It's already being used to treat people with COVID-19 in Oregon. Hector Calderon was the first patient in Oregon to test positive and one of the first in the nation to be treated with remdesivir. Calderon was released from the hospital earlier this month.
It's very helpful and it's very encouraging from a professional side of things.
Dr. Tobias Push is leading the remdesivir trials at Providence St. Vincent. He says they've treated about 30 patients since mid-March.
And has it been successful in those? You said 30 patients that you've treated?
Yeah, Brittany, I get that question quite a bit. We at the bedside certainly notice certain changes, of course, immediately when there's vital sign changes. The patient receives the medication and in 24 hours, the fever is suddenly gone.
Dr. Push says the drug has shown promise in patients across the board. Now, the Oregon Health Authority is providing the state's first allotment of remdesivir. They'll provide enough doses to treat 80 patients for 10 days. That's enough to treat all currently hospitalized COVID-19 patients who meet eligibility criteria. While the state expects to get more in the future, when and how much is not yet known.
There's a process that's going to be set up and is literally, as we're speaking, being set up that will be a multi-step process of filling out a bit of paperwork and submitting it to OHA, and then the drug will be shipped if the patient qualifies for the medication. Yeah, no matter where you are, if you're in a trial hospital or not, you will have access to the medication.
He says while the drug is proving to be effective, this isn't a silver bullet in the fight against COVID-19. It's still not approved by the FDA, but it has been granted emergency use authorization.
I don't think that remdesivir is a miracle drug. Yeah, that's not going to be the last voice of research and what we're going to be doing from here on. It's not going to become the gold standard of therapy by any means. It's the first drug that has shown efficacy against the virus, and there will likely be more discoveries as we move on over the next year or two. But it's really encouraging that we now have finally some data indicating that there is truly efficacy to the medication.
Brittany Folkers, KGW News.
Starting today, Portland International Airport requires everyone entering the terminal to wear a mask. PDX officials say every airline that operates out of Portland requires passengers to wear one. PDX employees already wear them, and the airport says this keeps everyone's experience the same. The airport isn't the first place to enact this rule. Uber now requires drivers and riders to wear one. Costco and New Seasons enacted a similar requirement this month. And starting Wednesday, TriMet will require all riders to wear a mask.
We have installed dispensers that give one mask each out so that riders have that access. If they can't get the face mask someplace else or they need one in a pinch, it's there on the bus, on the train for their use.
Based on CDC recommendations, those under 2 years of age or who have a medical condition that would prevent them from wearing one are exempt. The coronavirus pandemic has crippled the economy, creating job losses and record unemployment. But one bright spot might be the marijuana industry. It's weathered this economic storm better than most, with record sales in Oregon. And as KGW investigative reporter Kylie Boshi found, proponents believe federal legalization could be next.
The coronavirus pandemic could be a catalyst for the federal government to legalize marijuana once and for all, say proponents. And here's why. Sales are surging. In April, Oregon saw a record-setting $89 million in marijuana sales. That generates tremendous tax revenue at a time when other sources like personal income tax or lottery revenues are down. Dispensaries were deemed essential in many states, including Oregon, allowing them to remain open during stay-at-home orders, explained Congressman Earl Blumenauer.
There's a reason why over 25 states have declared marijuana dispensaries to be essential services. I mean, these are things that people rely on.
And while many businesses are reducing their workforce, proponents say legalizing pot nationwide could help create new jobs for many Americans.
Up until March, there was almost 250,000 people who worked in the industry.
Congress is already considering reform to marijuana banking laws. The latest COVID-19 relief bill, which passed the U.S. House, would give marijuana-related businesses access to banks.
Why should marijuana-related businesses have access to the same loans that many other small businesses do?
Kyle, it really is a basic question of fairness.
Senator Ron Wyden believes dispensaries in legalized states like Oregon should be able to open a bank account and take out a loan like any other business.
I also think it's an important public safety issue, because I don't think that we should require these businesses, in effect, to be cash only.
Last week, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican, sharply criticized the marijuana banking provision.
The word cannabis appears in the bill 68 times, more times than the word job.
At the same time, there's growing momentum for pro-legalization at the state level. A half dozen states are expected to vote in November or have bills pending that could legalize adult use of marijuana.
It's kind of a no-brainer, to think about it. I mean, to be frank, a lot of people smoke marijuana. A lot of people are pro-marijuana, and it's ever-changing as the years go on.
Rob Arnold, owner of the marijuana dispensary Jane in Northeast Portland, says Oregon is an example of a state that's allowed legalization, and seen the industry flourish even in the toughest of times.
And voters agree. A recent survey showed voters in 9 states where recreational marijuana is legal, including Oregon and Washington, overwhelmingly believe the legislation is more of a success than failure. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.